we're going to get the chat room open from our side. There we go. And this is going to be me saying welcome in the chat room to everyone. If you haven't opened the chat room, open it up. You can shoot a question if you want to throw it in there. If you have, we can shoot back some comments and some specs or whatever we need to. And we can get it all there. All right. So for those who've joined us before on this, go straight in there.
I'm hoping.
Okay, scroll it down. Who's not joined us before on this? Sorry, we are just working out some of the details here.
I'm trying to turn the weight room off so that people can just join automatically.
I don't know how that got turned on, but hopefully we can get that figured out. All right, so those who haven't joined us before for a What's New at SureFi webinar, we did one last month, and basically what we will do is we will go over some of the products that we've been out and developing, some of the testing we've been doing, some of the things that are coming down the pike, new products, new things. I like to hear from you guys because a lot of what we do
was actually a garage pole and had been there as early as October 2019. But no, Wallace is reacting to the news, and to all the folks out there who are calling it a hoax, here's what he said on the Today Show.
Okay, so we want to hear from you, your thoughts and ideas. Sometimes we can make tweaks on things we're developing that can help with that. And thank you, Paul. I know that somewhere we can do that. Let's see if we can.
Maybe it's under more.
It might be under more. Let's take a look. Paul just said that you can mute everyone. I can see how they're doing it individually. Let's see if we can find that, where that is.
Oh, there's a mute all.
Oh, there's a mute all.
I don't know if that's the right one.
I wonder if that'll mute us. Okay. All right, so we've got everybody muted. Really quickly, while you're there, Paul, would you see if you can unmute yourself? Just we want to make sure that we can talk to you.
Yes.
Oh, perfect.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. All right. So. Perfect. Thank you. All right. So now, what we were talking about is that we really want to hear from you what you like about the product development, what you would like to see, because that your information, these type of things drive what we do. We want to adjust what we're doing to what you guys want. Does that make sense? And so we appreciate everybody that's on here, and we'd love to hear your thoughts about the things we're developing. So we've got two overview slides of what SureFi is. I believe everybody here probably has used it before. We'll do a very quick 2 minutes of overview of what it is, and then we'll start with the new stuff. And we've got a lot of exciting things going on. So without further ado, let's get rolling. By the way, John Caldwell, Marketing Training Director here at SureFi. And this is Brad.
I'm Brad Parker. I'm new at SureFi.
But also Marketing and Training Directing. We also get the chance to go out and do a lot of installs. So quite a few people here I've been either out doing trainings with or have done installs with. So I really appreciate that. And it's good to hear from you guys again. All right, so we'll go over just two quick slides and overview of what SureFi is, and then we'll get into the exciting things. And you guys, would love to have your questions, would love to have your comments and thoughts and feedback, and let's just kind of keep this relatively informal. All right, for those of you who have not used it before, SureFi is a very unique radio. We are a radio company at its very base, and we have applied this 23 patent invention to a lot of different products. Basically, this radio is designed to get out of heavy obstruction, out of Faraday cages, and to go a long distance. And of course, you know, physics works like they do, but the radio itself is designed to do what no other radio can do. It's very secure, encrypted, channel hopping, the whole thing. And it's really something that's very different than any other product. Want to hit our current products real quick, and then we'll get rolling.
So our current products, we have the Wiegand bridge. A lot of you are familiar with that. The HVAC wireless bridge, which is just a low voltage relay bridge. Then we have the relays that is basically the same as the Wiegand bridge without the Wiegand. So 2 relays each direction with a total of 4 relays. And then the analog wireless bridge that does the variable sensor and variable voltage, variable milliamps.
And thermistor input. So.
And thermistor, sorry.
No, it's good. All right, so that's what we have right now. And you guys are probably at least familiar with that family of products. The rest of the time, we'd like to just spend some time going over the new stuff and what's being developed. Okay, so the first thing that we are going to talk about today is the commercial door kit. Now, last month, we talked a little bit about it because we were developing it. We showed you at the time what it looked like. Things have changed, and we've made quite a few changes on the commercial door kit. Let me kind of give you the little bit of the reason we're doing this. For those of you who are doing doors, or if you are gate people and you want to do doors, one of the challenges that you have at these commercial doors is power. The SureFi unit takes care of the control wire, obviously. That's what SureFi does. But I still had installers telling me, you know what, sometimes I got to get power from 150 feet down that hall. And if I'm doing that, I might as well just run the wire. And so we started thinking about that because, you know, all of these commercial doors have exit signs, have always on lights and things like that. And we thought, well, what if we could pull power from the exit signs? What if we could pull that emergency power and not in any way create problems with that for when the power goes out? So we developed the commercial door kit. So we actually currently have 2 versions of this, and it's actually available now on our website. And the idea is that inside these commercial door kits, it comes with the SureFi Wiegand bridge, as well as it'll take anywhere from 110 to all the way up to 277 AC voltage in. So it doesn't matter where you're at, whether you're at an industrial building or a mom and pop shop, whatever, it doesn't matter. We did an install, we'll talk about in a video here in a second, where we thought we had one kind. We showed up and the electrician said, oh, you got 277. This is gonna, and he thought it'd mess us all up, but it didn't. We have this in our commercial door kit ready to go. The larger one has 12 and 24 volt battery backup, charging capability, and the ability to do up to 2 doors. So you have the wiring, on the wiring blocks and that kind of thing. We have Phoenix blocks in right now. The compact door kit, and we're going to show you some pictures here in a second of the inside, but it is made for a single door, 12 volt only, and it's quite small. It's like an 8x10 piece of paper is the size of it, and it's very light. I actually lifting it around and putting it up with the single finger. So this has been kind of an exciting thing for us. We've been developing and selling some of these. I'm going to go to a little video that one of our great installers, Brian, has been working with us on this development, and he installed a 12 and 24 volt commercial door kit down in southern Utah. So let's go to that quick video, and I'll stop talking.
One of the most attractive aspects of the commercial door kit is the ability to be flexible with any power near the access point. Brian with Superior Security explains how unexpected power demands, concrete and steel buildings, and crossing the road were all easily handled by the SureFi commercial door kit.
Brian Christensen with Superior Security Services. I wanted to report on a recent install where we paired up a Wiegand wireless bridge with an integrated power supply and battery backup. Fortunately, on this situation, the power supply was amazing. As the electrician pulled power from the overhead exit sign, the incoming power was 277, which we thought was going to be a roadblock. Fortunately, the integrated power supply was able to handle that with no issues. We simply mounted the power supply on the wall, inserted our Wiegand wireless bridge, and we were up and running in a matter of minutes. The install went very smooth, and we're impressed with the overall versatility.
Okay. Brian has been really instrumental in helping us do that, which we appreciate. I cut the top of my head off there. As well as a lot of you guys have given us feedback on that, so we really appreciate it. So I actually want to stop for a second right here and talk about this. Let me see if I can go back. Let's talk about this for just a minute. I'm going to grab the commercial door kit right here, the compact one, and I would love to hear what you think. So first of all, you can see it's pretty small. See my hands down there? It's pretty small. We're going to give you some pictures, but basically you have a Surefire on a DIN rail there. You've got your mounting blocks, and the Surefire is taking care of charging duties for the 12-volt battery backup. So basically you can come in, grab this with pro pricing. This is, I believe, $422. That includes the Surefire bridge. And basically you can go and slap this on the wall somewhere, throw it up in a drop ceiling. It's quite small, quite light, and you're done. You got to also bring that in. The power comes in at the top. We connect with Wagos in there, so it took me about 15 minutes to install these last time I did it. So I'd love to hear some feedback. What do you think? Do you like it? Is this helpful for you? Before we go final on stuff, what do you guys, what do you think? Everyone's very quiet today. Let me see. Okay, so
does the power have to come in from the top?
Brian asks, does the power have to come in from the top? It does not have to come in from the top. It just needs to come in under this flash cover. So it could come from the side, this side. It's just the top half, because that's where the flash cover is covering the high voltage. Great question, Brian. Yep, it is and Joe asked if it's a NEMA enclosure. It's a NEMA 4 enclosure. It will be, it's UL listed. Everything in there is UL listed. And so it'd be mounted outside, inside, whatever. And James makes a great comment. He says, we've been outsourcing NEMA enclosures for our installs. Here's the great thing about that. We know that you guys can build this just as easily as we can. You guys are much better at stuff like this than we are. But what this does is this allows you to not have to worry about the time. You get your installers out doing what they're best at. You just pick up, we got 3 doors, I'm gonna pick up 3 door kits, and you're all ready to go. You don't have to waste time. So that's kind of the idea. So great comment, James. Other questions or comments? This is where I get to hear what you guys say, and we can make changes as we go. Looks like John Shackelford is hooking up his audio. Hopefully I'll have something just to tell us. Temperature rating. Okay, good question, Brian. On the spec sheet for the Wiegand Bridge, it tells you exactly what it is, but it's ballpark like 140 degrees Fahrenheit, and it goes down to negative, I want to say negative 30 or negative 40. So it's well outside the range you're going to be running into here in North America. We haven't had any problems with temperature at all. So with the Wiegand Bridge. Now the rest of it, obviously batteries are a little temperature sensitive if you don't keep charging them. That's the great thing. You just tie the power in, the Wiegand keeps trickle charging that. So, and obviously it's a waterproof box, but it's also an airproof box. And when I drive somewhere, like I'm go from Salt Lake to Idaho where I live, I try to open these boxes and I have to get my knife out and pry it because it's sealed so well. The pressure differential makes it so they're kind of a pain to open. Okay, what level of surge protection does the power supply have? That's a great question. It's a mean well. Let's see if I can grab one here. Do I have power supply over there?
Not one of these.
You know what?
Find one.
Let's, Brian.
You chat for a minute, I'll go grab one.
Yeah, we'll take a look at that. Off the top of my head, I don't know. I know that they had, I want to say it was like a 30% surge protection on that, but it's a mean well product and one that's the difficult thing in finding the power supply was actually getting the 277. A lot of those power supplies go, like 90 to 240, and that's great, but we need a 277. So we'll take a look at that power supply situation here in just a second, tell you exactly what that is. Okay. Chris Victor says, I may have missed it, but is there a fire alarm system FA relay input to unlock doors being fire smoke events? So this is the tough question, Chris, because it is not, you know how fire is, you have to get the UL listed with everything else. I know people who have used these in fire, but it is not UL listed with the other componentry for fire. So it does have 2 relays going each direction, and some of the other products we have, that I'm going to talk to you about today, has more than relays. How you guys use that, if it happens to be fire, I can't really sign off on something like that, but I know some people have done it. So that's kind of, I'm gonna have to kind of be Switzerland on that and stay out of it. So, but good question. Hey, Brian asked, it looks like there's a hasp on the side. Can it be locked? Yes. So this hasp has a little section right here. I'm gonna see if I can show it to you. That you can do a padlock or a zip tie type of security thing. And that's been a nice one. UL 294, yes, this is UL listed for that. And looking here on the side, I'm trying to find that. But yeah, it's UL listed, the stickers and everything are right there on those boxes. Okay, so here we go. No, it's not telling me what the search specs are. The power supply on this is the IRM 60-12 ST on the 12 volt side. The other one has 24 volt. And it's the 277 VAC North American version. You have to get the right one, otherwise they give you the 240. And it's by Meanwell. 5 amps, 12 volts. It doesn't say what the surge is on it, but if I remember right reading it, it was about 30%. I'll look more into that and get back with you if that's okay. Brian, I apologize. I don't know that one off the top of my head. So, all right. Great question, Joe, about the UL listing. It's all right there. It's UL listed, as is our product. So. All right. Other questions before we go on to the new ones? Is there any suggestions you have that maybe we didn't think about? We're trying to keep it, we're trying to keep this relatively inexpensive so that you will say, you know what, you know, for the price, for, you know, 70 bucks or 80 bucks over retail, it makes it worth it to me just to pick it up. Or excuse me, over the Surefire price. Brian asked, what is the data rate on the radio? The weekend data, the weekend itself is just sending weekend and then relay data. If we're talking about serial data bridge, that's a different thing. Serial data bridge we'll get into a little bit later. It's probably where that question needs to go. David asked, a small heat element would be a good option. Oh, you mean like for cold install, something that could just be connected into that 12 volt battery and keep things warm. Is that what you mean by that, David? In places like I said, we're Utah, Idaho, and you know, Minnesota or someplace. Is that what you had in mind on that, David? And a lot of humidity here too. Okay. So maybe we could have some add-ons that could be thrown in there. There's room for it. Maybe we could have some add-ons that, if you know, you've got the commercial door kit, and then if you want to add on a heat element or some kind of a humidity, something, a dehumidifier. I don't know if we can get something that small, but something that can impact the environment a little bit. The good thing about it is being completely airtight. It's going to keep a lot of that out, but especially the heat makes a lot of sense. So,
did you answer the one on the clasp?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. Okay. Great input. Love that. And Brian will, or excuse me, it was David will also look into some possible add-ons that would make that a little bit better for some of that outside installation. You know, obviously the inside installations are easier at the door, but sometimes you go outside and it gets a little bit rough out there. So great. Any other feedback on that before we move on to the next product? Charles asked, is this product available now? And the answer is yes. We have just been put on the website, what, 2 days ago?
Yeah.
About 2 days ago. And so they're available to purchase. Distributors can get them there too, and get them sent out. These are great. These are great to have on hand. Simple to say, hey, I'm doing a school. It needs 4 doors. I'm gonna go pick up 4-door kits and done. So, yep, available now. Surefy.com. So, all right. Anything else before we go on to the next product? And you guys are welcome to actually talk. You don't have to just send it in here unless you want to. So, all right. So this next one is being released in 2 days. And this next product, I can't find my cursor. I love when it does that. This is the Surefy Relay Low Voltage Wireless Bridge. And the concept for this is that this is pretty much the same thing as our HVAC bridge. It's just that people stopped realizing or they had a hard time taking the HVAC word out of it and realizing that this is just a relay bridge. And so this is a rebrand of the relay bridge that we've been using for HVAC to be used in many other things. I have used this for one-to-multiple, 27 points of entry on an HOA down in Irving, Texas. I don't know if that's the right place. Anyway, 27 points of entry. And when they opened the Knox box, they wanted one button to open everything. And so we had a one-to-multiple, and I'm going to show you how that looks with an HVAC picture, and you can imagine that. Basically, you can tell all 8 things do the same thing. All 8 channels you can differentiate, so you could do, okay, I want door 1, door 2, door 3, up to 8, and then you can use multiple. So we used multiple controller sides and opened up 27 doors. So this is exciting because it also has 2 channels back. I've used this for peripheral alarms. If something happens, a motion sensor happens, somebody comes across something, it sends an alarm back, and you can have 8 peripheral things back to a single unit. And this makes it really a lot less expensive. I actually put a little video in here about a cabin monitoring thing. And the idea is you could put things like a motion sensor, a temperature sensor, and a water sensor in cabins in these, these large HOA cabin areas, and you have one person monitoring down at the office, and you can have all of this coming in wirelessly, and you can find out, is the temperature dropped for some reason? Are they going to break their pipes? Is there water on the floor? If so, get in there and get it taken care of before the damage gets worse. Is there motion in a cabin when there shouldn't be? So you can do a lot of things with these, and that's really what we did with this particular cabin. So I'm gonna let you see it. You guys will actually have a lot better ideas than probably I did, but 8 relays out, 2 relays coming back, and this rebranded version, it'll be available in a couple of days. So let me show you a little video, and then I'd love to get your feedback. Hey, can I do this? Can I do that? Or whatever you've got for me. Sorry.
Many enjoy part-time remote cabins or vacation homes that aren't occupied full-time. For remote structures, the anticipation of showing up and opening the door sometimes can be frightening, revealing water damage, broken pipes, or unwanted visitors and inoperable equipment. This can become extremely expensive in repairs and can incite feelings of vulnerability in the owners. Is there a way to monitor these homes, cabins, and storage areas that may not have internet access to minimize the risk of damage? With sensors for flooding, extreme temperatures, movement inside, and doors opening, you can monitor these properties without physically being present. You can also turn on HVAC systems or lock and unlock the doors remotely, providing a pleasantly prepared space when you arrive. So how is this done? We took Surefy into the Uinta Mountains of Utah to show how such a feat is possible. We use our one-to-many bridge to monitor 3 separate locations surrounding the remote property and show how it can relay that information to a location in town or to the cloud by connecting to a relay ridge. We have multiple locations surrounding the main sending hub These can be used to both report information from the remote locations to the central hub at the cabin, or can relay commands from the central hub to the remote locations with 8 channels out and 2 return channels. So with a door position sensor and a motion sensor being sent wirelessly to the hub where temperature sensor and water sensor are directly wired, as well as remote sensors in storage facilities, the absent owner can monitor and respond to any activity that needs attention. Vigilance and peace of mind, provided by Surefy.
Okay. So first of all, I apologize that you had to listen to my voice again on there.
All right. So do you have any questions on the low voltage 1 to 8? Would like to welcome any comments or questions.
How do you see this being helpful for you guys? You know, to do multiple relays, Rexit buttons at a secretary's desk or something. You could do 8 different gates. What are you thinking? Let's see.
There we go.
So Joe says contacts only, or could you use them for normally open common and normally closed strike? Okay, so actually you can do them with normally closed strikes. What happens is, like in an HVAC system, when you turn the fan on, you can leave that fan on all the time. So all you have to do is to connect that at the head end as a normally closed. And then what we did at that one in Texas is once you turn the key, it actually disconnects, and then those normally closed channels would go the opposite. Or if there's a loss of power there because of a fire, it would automatically disconnect and open up all those access points. So great question, Joe. So it can be used for normally open or normally closed. Overhead door monitoring, yeah. Some door position sensors. You could have a whole row of overhead doors, and they could all come back to a single place, and or whatever. Yeah, overhead door monitoring is a great idea. I hadn't even thought about that. Sorry, the device is compatible with the Vista 48 alarms. To answer your question, Carlos, I don't know the Vista 48 alarms very well. So if it's a standard relay that has to either be open or closed, then it would be compatible. It's just a matter of, now the other thing that's cool about this is this can go 0 to 30 volts by way of power, 0 to 30 volts AC or DC. And so if you go into a situation where you've got 24 volts AC, this unit can take that. Or you can do 12 volts DC, you can do 24 AC, whatever. So great question. And James says you need it now. We can get you hooked up. It's available. Any other comments, things that you're wondering, things that you like, dislike, anything that you're wondering if it might be a good application for? Okay, looks like, okay, I think we're good to go.
All right. So we talked about this last time a little bit, but things have changed. Oh, things have changed just a little bit. So we have our retrofit assessment tool. And one of the things we've been working on when we've gone out and talked to installers is they're like, well, how do we get that wired in to a keypad or to a controller? And so we've got these we're thinking about doing this accessory kit where it has a wiring harness where there's these little probe pins. So you can just take the keypad off, use little pins to pierce the insulation in the wire. And then you can use the assessment tool to assess an existing wired access control system.
And that's what's kind of different about this one. Almost everything we have done, well, everything except for this, is based on that Surefy radio. This is for a wired system for you to come in. You don't know what it is. You can assess its it's componentry, you know, what the bit rate is. You can push Wiegand data and say, hey, is that reading the correct things across there, or do I've got some wires backwards, or whatever. You can also assess the line voltage across those Wiegand wires. So you can say, you know what, hey, that one's 5.1. Oh, that one's like 2.1. There must be something wrong in there in that wiring or whatever. So this is kind of just something you keep in your toolbox. It tells you that when you're going in blind, can help you get kind of the base of it without having to do an experimentation or play around with it too much.
And I forgot to mention, it does have a place where you can wire in relays as well. So you can check, make sure that the relays are working correctly, normally open, normally closed. You can push and make sure that they're closing in the different spots along your trail to make sure that things are communicating correctly.
Yeah. One of the nice things about that, you know, most of the time when you want to close a relay, you just jumper it, right? But it's often difficult to tell whether it's coming in. So yeah, that's nice to be able to read it's closed on the other side or whatever. So thoughts on that? This is a great opportunity for us to get feedback from you guys. We have had some people that have been pretty excited about it. Others are like, well, I don't know, you know, so love to hear your thoughts. We actually, while you're thinking, we actually sold a handful of these just the other day, and they were really excited about them because they thought through this, that they maybe young installers, people who don't know the business as well, can make sure to not make as many mistakes. So we got one from Franco says, do you have a one pager that we can easily share? Yeah, we've got a cut. Well, I don't know that it's quite yet there, but I know that we'll shortly have a cut sheet on this that we can, that will be on our website that could be shot out to everybody. So good question. I'll double check to see if it's there yet, but I think it's not quite, but I know it's coming. David asked, troubleshooting tools are always, comment, perfect. Yeah.
Yes, they are.
You don't want to send some guy out and you're like, I just needed you to check one thing. He's like, I can't find this, can't do this. And he's there 3 hours when he should have been there 10 minutes. So troubleshooting tools are nice. So thank you. All right, if there's no other comments on that particular one, let's move on. Okay, please include a list of potential applications in your one pager. Good comment, Franco. Good comment. Okay. All right. Now, we already did the commercial work, and we did the video. I think we went the wrong. Hold on. Okay. So I think we got a little mixed up there. So this is our one-to-end technology overview. Now, some of you have been asking me about this for a year, 2 years, a long time. And they've been asking, well, what about one-to-many? Well, how can we do that now? And my answer has been for the last 2 years, well, Wiegand does not self-address, so we're just the wire replacement. And you can see in our little screen here, Wiegand wire replacement is a one-to-one situation, right? With the Wiegand wireless bridge. HVAC the same, analog the same. What we are developing, and I have to just be careful that I say it the right way, is a protocol or is a product that would allow us to put any of the SureFi bridges, multiple bridges into a single point. And at that point, it goes into the cloud. And so it allows you to control, could be multiple doors, could be a combination of things. As you see in the video there, it's, or in the illustration, it could be relay, it could be HVAC, it could be a bunch of different things. So this is an exciting product. It's not quite ready yet, but we've had it, when we say it's not ready, it's not being released yet. We've had it working all of our large buildings down in Provo for over 2 years now. And so we have a lot of confidence in this product. It's just a matter of tweaking the applications and the interface in the back end. So this is one that I think is going to be, in my opinion, a game changer. When you can go into an install and you have 20 single pieces of SureFi, because they usually come paired, right? But you have 20 remote units, and you just go and hook them up, and they all come back into a single unit. So you don't have any wiring on that side, and it goes either directly into the cloud, or you know, we're working on that end exactly how we want to do that. You know, either into a controller. You don't have to buy all the extra expansion door things and whatever. So this is an interesting product, and I'd love to hear what you guys think. Okay, so first question was, does it use the entire 902 to 928 megahertz band? Okay, so what happens is in that bandwidth, we've got 72 channels demarcated to hop back and forth, but we also have encryption tables within every channel. So we can actually run, in theory, well, not in theory, but you could run over 200 doors into this one unit if you wanted to. And we've run over 100 SureFi units at the same time with no problems crossing over. So it depends on exactly how many units you have and exactly which channels they're hopping in. But I don't know if that was exactly what you're wondering, or if you have an application where you say, hey, we only can go from 902 to 914 or something. Is that, Kirby, can you help me understand that a little bit better? Either type it or call it in. So we'll come back to that question for sure to make sure I answered that. Estimated cost. Oh, okay. So you were wondering if you could do 915 to 918. Kirby, are you outside of the United States? Because we have the same LOS. Okay. So we actually have specific units built for other areas, like a Columbia unit, ones that are built for different places, because outside of the US, we have different parameters that we're dealing with. So yes, Kirby, we're gonna give you my number at the end. Will you contact me directly, and I'll help point you toward the ones that are specifically within the legal parameters for your country. That'd be great. All right, now I'm gonna scroll back over here because I think the one right before this, which I can't see right now, estimated cost. Now you guys can't hold me to this, but ballpark, maybe you're between 7 and 8. That's been a number that's been thrown out. It might be more, might be less. You can't hold me to it, but we're looking for the one to end somewhere in that ballpark range. So.
Part of what we're wondering is with the cloud, where it goes to cloud and managing that too, there might be a subscription attached to that, or maybe not. We don't know exactly how that's going to work yet. So we're still working through the cost on that. And
that kind of ties into James's question: will it collaborate with PDK? You know, we are still working on that. We have our own system that we've been using in the cloud for our own use. And so, and I know that PDK has a really great backend, you know, by way of cloud-based, you know, apps and stuff like that. I don't know all of the things that have been worked on. That's kind of outside of our area in regards to working with other companies, but you know, they definitely have, in my opinion, the gold standard of backend interface. So. Yeah, can't really tell you for sure on that.
if we could get a bridge with an APK or something to be able to talk to them and use that, it would be a great solution. We don't currently have it, but we're definitely open to looking into it and trying to look into it ourselves, yes.
So thanks, James. Good question. All right, have we answered all those? Yeah, you know, this is, I did the install with one of our installers here in town of 4 doors here at the SureFi North building. And it was just amazing to me. We used the door kits, and we used the 1 to N, and it's so nice to go up to the head end and just plug in an Ethernet cable. You don't have to wire anything. And That was great.
Yeah,
Loved that.
We just have it sitting in a closet right next to our modem.
And there's not a pile of wire. It's just sitting there on the wall. So, all right, James, thank you for that. We'll look forward to that. ET release date. Like I said, it's working now. It has been for 2 years. The challenge is exactly what the interface is going to be. I would say we'll know a lot more about fall time, so maybe third quarter. But if you, yeah, so that's kind of where we think we're at on the 1 to N. Let's talk, we're looking at, we've got some people that are really interested in licensing it with us and different things. So anyway, I'm guessing third quarter, but I can't, don't hold me to it. Sorry about that, Charles. I don't want to tell you an exact date, but yeah, I guess third quarter. Other questions or comments on this interface, on this 1 to N idea? Because we love getting the feedback, because we'll go in, somebody says, hey, like this, don't like that. Our PIV, flash reader supported. I'm not terribly familiar with that particular protocol, so we're gonna have Brad look that up and see if I can get an answer for you, Brian. All right, I think we will move on from the 1 to N, which, like I said, is an exciting product for us, to move on to some other exciting products.
Yeah, it looks like they're HID.
Oh, the HID, okay. The HID, yeah, we have, we actually had this question on our webinar earlier today. The HID readers have worked just fine with our weekend interfaces, and should therefore work as well with the 1 to N if that was specifically for that application. But if it's not, that way it would work 1 to 1 on the weekend as well. The one thing on the 1 to N is that it's basically addressing that door, kind of what a tracker board does, a Door King tracker board, but it's addressing it by using the remote interface, because we know the address where that request came from. So that's kind of the idea of it. So, all right. So this is
before you move on, I do have another quick question.
Yeah,
I know
please.
I know we've been talking a lot about the Wiegand wireless bridge. Do you guys still have the OSDP wireless bridge?
All right, so the OSDP is something that's in development, and that's, if you see right here on the shared screen, that Access Pro bridge, which may not end up being the official name of it, but that is one we're working on right now that will have both Wiegand and OSDP protocols on the same bridge. And you can see it looks a lot like the Wiegand, it's just a little bit bigger, and that's one we're working on right now. And that's probably a third quarter release as well. Great question, Brian. I love that, our engineers and scientists and people, they're always hopping. They're always coming up with something new, and it's great, because we go down there and there's actually 3 new things since I was down there last. So in about the last week and a half, there were about 3 new things that they've been working on that I'm like, wow, that's crazy. All right, so Joe Wagner asked RS-45. Perfect for this page. If you look at the bottom unit there, it's called Serial Data Bridge. This is designed for RS-45 and RS-232 communications using the same Surefire radio. But let me say that with a caveat. I have installed about 8 of these, and they are an amazing one. In fact, my favorite install on this was we installed one from the middle of Phoenix up to a relay ridge, where it then was put into the cloud, so that if the internet goes down at that location down in the middle of Phoenix, someone anywhere in the world can get on there, connect into it like they're just sitting there with their laptop and typing to it, say, hey, what's wrong with you, and can be fixed without rolling a truck. And this was a great install. But the caveat I want to share with you is that we have to remember the Surefire radio is designed for heavy penetration, long distance. The trade-off is relatively low data. And so a lot of the installs that people have asked me to come and do a test on have been a high data rate polling type of situation, and they don't work very well. It's not a great fit for the serial data bridge. There are some access control systems, like I did an Integra 32 system where we did a 4-door expansion board back to the controller, and it worked like a champ. It was great because that 4-door board was in another building. The wire got compromised. They already had it hardwired over there. Otherwise, I'd have just said use 4 Surefire units, but they already had it hardwired. But it was something that wasn't pulling constantly. It just had an update every 10, 15 minutes, dump a little data, go back and forth. The credentials were held on those that external board. So that was a fantastic match for this. And we've also been playing with the ability to do 5-wire 232, and that's about all I'm going to say about that at this point because it's still in the process. So, other questions? Oh, by the way, we talked about last month a little bit about this, and I don't mind sharing it again. Because we have the serial bridge, this is the one that we've taken and compressed voice on an outside board and put it into the serial bridge once it's digital, send it across, and we were able to move voice with the serial data bridge. Now, before we get too excited and think that that means, call boxes can all be Surefire, that still needs a lot more development, but just so you know, you can get on YouTube. There's a video there that shows us going out of a Faraday cage into a Faraday cage a half a mile away doing voice, and it works. So it's coming. We're still working on it eventually. I mean, it's coming along. We know that it's possible. It's just still takes a lot more work. So there's the update on that one. Any thoughts, feedback on any of these products at all before we move on? So one thing I'll ask you guys, we do this and we've still got a couple of other things to talk about, but this idea of being able to ask questions about what's being developed or how to use things, is this format, do you like this? We did one last month as a test, and the guys that were on there said they really liked the idea that they can ask Surefire, hey, what's going on with this? Can this be used with that? Where we are progressing on this? And Brian says he likes it. I like that. Appreciate it. Now, if you feel like maybe this is not your thing, let me know that too, because we want to give you guys access to us, but also not waste your time. So thank you, Ken, for yours.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
It's Joe.
Hi, Joe.
I just want to go back to the serial data one real quick because it'd be easier to talk real quick than it would be to write. And I like this format too, by the way, because then it gives us the information that we can go back and we know what is available yet and when. So, when we talk to our customers, but one of the access control systems we use is OpenPath. We sell a ton of them all across the board.
Joe, sorry to interrupt you. You broke up just a second. What kind was it?
OpenPath.
Okay.
So we sell a lot of them, and their readers, so their board, actually, you can do Wiegand or you can do the RS-45. Their readers, their touch readers are RS-45. And so we have a need for this because there's some spots that we can't run wire or they're in historical buildings. And when you were going back to the data, how would that play with the data for the card readers? Because we'd have to hook that up to the serial data port and then go back to the RS-45 port for the reader on their panel. And then also, is there a normally open, common, and closed port on there to run a strike if we needed to?
Yeah. Okay. So great questions. First of all, how would it work? We'd probably need to do some testing with it to see what kind of communications are being required back and forth between the reader and the system. But to answer your question, and so that's a maybe, and I'd like to actually maybe run down to, you guys have an office in Salt Lake, don't you, Joe?
Not yet. We've had 3 potentials, but they've all fell through.
Sometime we need to get together.
We're still working on that one.
That card reader, get together and run a test. We're happy to come down. We hook it up. We just look, we can monitor what's going on with it across the computer and just see. It might be a fantastic fit. And then to answer your question about the relays, the top on the relays have got the same, we've got very similar things. We've got relays out to trigger things just like you would on the Wiegand bridge. So You've got
Okay.
quite a bit of the same thing. And that serial data also has some things that can be used for Wiegand. So
Okay, cool.
like I said, this is still coming up, but Joe, I would love, and you know how to get a hold of me.
Yeah.
Let's call me, text me, whatever, and let's figure out a test. Let's get that tested, because I'd like to know if it'll interface to that system myself.
Yeah, because I can guarantee you, if we can get this to work, I can probably see this being sold to us like crazy. We have a large need for it. Texas is one of them. One of our owners down there, he's probably doing, I would probably say, upwards of 10 to 15 open pass a month. And we're doing another 175 of them alone just in Mississippi. So we can use this, and if we can perfect it, that'd be great. But I'll definitely get you on the side to talk about this.
Perfect.
That'd be great.
All right, so we're going to go through. Thank you, everyone. We're going to go down to a couple more things that are going on, and please interrupt us as we go. The app is new, so we're going to be kind of fast in this, and Brad, I want you to cover this, but the app has been updating, and especially the Android users out there, there have been a few hiccups with the app, with the Android, but we have been working hard to get those nailed down, and we have a new version 3.0 or whatever, and that can be downloaded. So if you haven't done it lately, probably want to do that. And Brad's going to kind of go through some of the new features.
Yeah, so the first page, it looks a little bit different. It used to open up right into the camera. Now there's a little button to push to start scanning. All you need to do is scan. Every one of our units has a QR code with the serial number. You scan that, and then it'll take you in and give you the PDF or in a little instructional video. You can click the advanced settings to go in and configure our radios just a little bit. Inside, it will tell you how much longer you have left on your warranty. You can go into operating values to see what the relay statuses are. You can see the Wiegand data if you need to check that, make sure that it's working. And then it also gives you transmits, whether they transmitted, whether they were received, or whether they were sent, and how long ago that the last communication was. It also will log, do a small log of so you can look back for the last few transmits and see what things were happening there. So it can help you with some troubleshooting, make sure that things are working, or just give you a little history of what's happened.
Yeah, one thing there's also, you can actually, instead of just having lights, it gives you an actual number, tell you how strong it is. By the way, Chris, you just wrote some things on the thing. I would like to go through a little bit of this. So I'll see what we can add, and maybe add a few things after that as well. So Chris, I'll address that. Thank you.
Another section gives us the controller configuration. So this is where you can set a heartbeat time. With the heartbeat time, basically what this is saying, because we are replacing that wire from the remote side to the controller side, you're saying, are you there? Yes, I'm here. Usually an hour is fine but some devices require that there's a heartbeat more frequently, so we add adjustments here. If you're in a position where you have used solar just to cut down on power, sometimes you put that up to an hour or 2 hours between talking, and that can help save on your battery life and your energy. We also have this is where we can put controller fail-safes in. In one of the installs that we do with our forklift kit, when we installed Wiegand on the forklift kit, they had to use their fobs to be able to access the forklifts. Well, the company wanted that if the Surefire got out of range for some reason, that it would kill the forklift, because they had a forklift that had been stolen once. And so we were able to go in to the relay, make it so that it would open if it lost connectivity, and shut that forklift down so they couldn't keep driving away.
And if you guys haven't seen the forklift kit, we maybe spend some time at the end. This is something that is a great idea that some people are doing, but it's not being done very much. I would do it and pick up a whole lot of work, but
yeah, add a lot of doors to your.
Yeah. So do this one, and then we'll answer some of Chris's questions there.
So also you can push Wiegand data. Well, first you can control the, I'll start with the relays. You can actually trigger the relays right from the app, so you can make sure that it's working from the remote interface or the controller interface, so that you can just test the relays, so you don't have to walk clear to the remote end to trigger. So that's kind of helpful. And then one thing that's new in this app as well is that you can push the Wiegand code. So you can type in the code off of the fob or the keypad, put the facility number in, and then you can push it and just test to make sure that it's working without having to walk clear back to that remote side. So
good deal. You know, two things we didn't spend a lot of time on, but most of you were probably not on our the one that we did last month. So I'll tell you two new things that have come out that were really interesting. And the first one is because of COVID. We have a lot of field hospitals out there, people needing to be taken care of. And I got a call from Georgia, and they said, you know, we've got this field hospital out here. We wanted to use our access control system to track who has been treated where, not only to know if somebody's contagious, but also to make sure that this person's getting everything that they're supposed to get. So they handed out cards to the COVID patients they were tracking. And when they pulled up, we basically made a box that was portable access control, and it has a 5-volt battery in it that charges while you plug it in at night. And then they were just able to walk that out to the tent, and they had a bunch of different tents. And as people came in, they scanned their card, they knew they received that treatment. And it also could be used for emergency mustering. It's just portable access control wherever you go. It's about the same size as this compact door kit. So that was a cool thing. Then the forklift, adding access control to a forklift, showing the due diligence that the company is trying to keep everybody safe, really is I think legally comforting, but also make sure that people don't get hurt. So those are some ideas and some thoughts. Chris had a great comments. And I wanted to read that if it's okay, Chris. For techs, maybe add a lesson learned the hard way video, seeing design considerations, field problems, et cetera, is related to actual application in the field. A lot of concrete, steel, EMF interference, et cetera, and how to work around problems. Okay, webinar design consideration. So one thing that I would love to go over is a couple of quick common problems, if that's okay. Common things that we're seeing when we got in the field, or when somebody calls in. Probably one of the most common things is the Wiegand wasn't working, and the thing that we have told people on that, you have to make sure that the Wiegand bridge and whatever the card swipe is or whatever reader it is are sharing a ground wire. A lot of times people would put them other places, like an RFID reader is clear across the other side of the way, and it comes over and they connect it just the D0, D1 in. Well, they have to have a ground wire as well for that D0 and D1 to reference. So that's one of the things. A couple things that we've also noticed, you guys probably know this as well as we do, but sometimes when people are doing gate operators, they'll try to put that Surefire unit down inside the gate operator. If it's real close, it does work. But of course, mounting it right next to the ground is not the best way to do that. And so if you can put it, you know, in the box where they, you know, do the call box, or if you can be put up a little bit higher, that moves. You know, we have a great signal, but you also can't, but you're never going to be able to get through the ground. So we put it right next to the ground. Half of that signal is kind of lost. So those are some thoughts. EMF interference is one I'd like to talk about, and I understand, Chris, that we probably want to get in with the engineers a little bit more about the designing of it, and we can do that. I can get you in touch with some of these guys, and we can do some of that. But EMF interference and a lot of concrete. EMF, generally speaking, has not been a problem. It's been really quite amazing. We did a lot of testing before we released this radio. And the way that it bounces from channel to channel, the different things, it's really not been a real big problem. I will say that we had one situation that I'm aware of that might give you guys some hints in the field. So, you know, kind of a standard installation from a gate operator back to a clubhouse. And I got a call about a year after it had been installed, and they said, hey, this thing stopped working. And said, oh, okay. So I actually went out to this one, and I said, well, what has changed? And what had changed was they had put a cell tower in between, and not just kind of in between, but directly in between, that required a bunch of power. And in that situation, for some reason, it was enough power, and there was enough electromagnetic interference there to create an issue. And it would work sometimes, but not all the time. So we moved that over about 8 feet, and then it worked perfectly. So direct line of sight of heavy power would probably, or not direct line of sight, but right in line with heavy power. I haven't seen a lot of problems with it, but I had seen one. So that's the story I got there. Now, we're kind of wrapping up, but is there anybody in this group that does not have an evaluation kit? Basically, there's 2 radios that you can put one in the controller. There's one over there. Grab that if you would. And click and check everywhere. Is there anybody who does not have an evaluation kit? If you do not, will you please just let us know there in the chat? Because we want you to have this. This is free from us, and we'll send it out to you basically so you can test that range. Is there anybody here who has had questions of things happening to them in the field that we could maybe answer, saying, hey, I noticed this is happening, why? I mount it like this. One thing that I'll share with you, the way this antenna is designed, it has better propagation on the horizontal plane. So when you install these, don't just slap it in the box, drop it on the bottom or something. Installing it vertically is going to give you a lot better propagation of that radio signal. The exact number I can't tell you, but I've noticed this was substantially better as I've installed some in the field. Other questions you have? Any other problems that we can answer for you? Okay, we have someone from Kirby. Can you change the RF power output to conserve the battery? Example, sorry, yes.
Yes.
Okay, so why don't you take this one?
Yeah, so in the app, you can, there is a spot, it's more in the advanced troubleshooting.
Up in that top right corner.
So yeah, up in that top right corner, there's a little gear there. It will ask you for a code, so you can call customer service. Or us. We are customer service a lot. Jordan is also there helping us out. But we can give you that code if you need to make those radio adjustments. And yeah, there's just a little screen in there that lets you change the power. So I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think it goes quarter watt.
At least down to a quarter watt. You can also adjust some spreading factor and bandwidth settings in there for the radios, because those will impact how it interacts with the environment and the instructions. And so if you guys are having trouble and saying, hey, you know what, I normally don't have a problem with the radio getting through, but I am now. And so what we can do is we can help you through some radio settings. And in that case, like in a solar application, Kirby, fantastic application. If you don't have to have the whole watt of power and you're getting great signal, yeah, turn that down to a quarter and you're not going to use nearly as much energy. Drop that heartbeat time to an hour or 2 hours, and it's not using nearly as much.
Yeah, good question.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions? Got another from, okay, just response. Yep. Anything that your customers or your end users are saying or concerned about that you want to pass along to us? Or as you're installing, you run into challenges?
Right, Stephen, you'd like to share this meeting with others on your team. We are recording this. We will have it on our website. We should have it on our website, so you can share that link with the others on your team so they can watch it for sure.
Yeah, sorry that we're doing a lot of talking, but if they can look past us, there's a lot of good information. So
we would also be happy to set up a training with them. So if you'd like to contact us, we could set up a training and do something similar to this, or just do an overview of Surefire and our current products. So would be happy to set that up if you'd like to reach out to us.
Yeah, we'd be happy to do that, Stephen. And Stephen, I think we have a serial bridge coming out to you, don't we? Stephen, yes. Okay, thank you. I don't know if it's there yet or not, but just wanted to make sure that we did.
And Steve Lohman, yes, vertical on both ends.
Yep.
Would be the best. You have the right assumption there.
And here's something I ran into on an install that, you know, kind of to follow up with some of these questions. You know how we say don't mount it next to the ground? Well, I ran into one that was mounted right next to a steel roof, like up against it, maybe even touching the steel roof. And so then again, you're reflecting a lot of that back down. So best to give it a foot or two. And we went from one LED being able to do it from here down to 3, just by dropping it a couple feet. So yeah, just be aware of that. To answer Carlos, we have been working on getting some Spanish translations of things. We have those who speak Spanish well who are working on those. And thank you for saying hi from Durango. I understand you guys had a little bit of an earthquake, at least down toward Oaxaca yesterday, maybe, I think it was. I have a brother-in-law that had lived down there for a long time. So any other questions about tips or anything else before we let you go? It's been fun talking with you. You're welcome to stay on and ask any other questions you'd like. We'll give it a second. We'd love your input on some of these things we're developing. If you're thinking, hey, I love that, except, that's what we want to know, the except. Or, hey, if it could do this, that'd be great. Maybe we can change it, maybe we can't. But we can sure get the input and try. So I'd love to hear.
Yep. Our contact information is here. Please reach out to us if you have any questions. If you have a really cool install you want us to come take a look at, we're happy to come and visit you and take a look at it, or help you out if you have a thing like where you're like, not sure really how to do this. Love to come and help you, or do a FaceTime or a video conference with you, or help you out that way. So we're a resource here available for you. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us.
Okay, Elvin, great question. Let's start with yours. Describe an access control scenario for elevators. So there's quite a few places that Surefire can be used, but let me share with you some of the most common. For example, a lot of people will want to put access control outside on the call button at every floor. That makes it so that someone who's not supposed to be in the building at all can't just push the button and wait in the elevator for someone to call it up and then walk out. So we've had guys put Surefire units right behind the call buttons and a little card swipe. So at the call button on every floor, Surefire is sending that to the access control center. When you go inside the car, when people want to add access control, say, hey, if you have a card, you can swipe and go to floor 12, then you have to be able to send that data all the way up there. And sometimes the traveler cable doesn't have enough, or sometimes between the traveler cable, when it goes to the ECD, which is the elevator control device, before it goes up to the ECU, sometimes that connection is bad. So they send it directly from the car all the way to the ECU at the end. So you can jump the weekend on or off wherever you want in that. It also makes so that ECD doesn't have to be right on top of the car. A lot of times that's where they'll put them. It's tough to work on them. You have to call the elevator guy in and blah, blah, blah. So it makes it, Surefire can take that ECD, put it in the same room as the ECU right next to it, and then you can shoot that Wiegand data directly up to that instead of having to have it on top of the car. The other thing that that happens a lot with that is with elevators is sometimes with the traveling cable, if it does not have enough wire or some of it's gone bad, sometimes if they want to, they would lose some control of some of their relays on the actual thing. So up at the ECU, you can send some cable that way, and you don't have to because a lot of times they'll put that elevator control unit actually right in the room where it has the motors and the cables, and that place is filthy. And they can't figure out why the ECUs keep going out. Well, it's 120 degrees, it's dust and crap all over the place. So that's an example of how you can put that ECU in a clean room and send the relay data to trigger those relays without having to have it in the same room. So there's just some of them. Hopefully that helps, Elvin. If you have more questions, give me a call. I'd be happy to help you through some of those scenarios.
All right. Ken, if you would like to email us, we can send you the PowerPoint. We can send the PowerPoint to you. We'd be happy to do that. Just send us an email.
And thanks, Jonathan. Appreciate your feedback on that. Chris asked, does the Wiegand module work with HID Bluetooth card readers, which then encrypted Wiegand, or does it matter since it's repeating the signal from the transmitter to the receiver? Okay, this is an interesting one, Chris, because I've seen two ways for this, and one way worked and the other way didn't. So I was talking to this installer, and he was having this issue. So they have an old version. I've got to see if I can remember this in my head. They have a little bit of an older version where it sends it, the Bluetooth takes the signal and sends it to the controller on site. And that one worked fine. The new version or one of the new versions is one where it takes it, sends it directly to the cloud through a cell type of scenario. And for some reason, the installer was not able to get that one to work. So I don't know that it can't. It's just this installer had trouble with that. So he went back to the other version and it worked fine. So I'll tell you that is what I know about it, though I'm not positive that I have completely exhausted all of the resources to wring that out with the cell version yet. Is that fair to say? Yeah. Thanks, Elvin. Other questions? And you're welcome to just talk if you don't want to type. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate you being here. And if you want to call us or email us, I can get you in touch with some of the engineers that were in the processing, or excuse me, in the development of the radio. If you have some questions about that, love to get you in touch with them, and you can ask them a lot of those questions as well. Appreciate you being here. Other questions? Let's see. Sounds like we've just about wrapped it up. Anybody else before we go? We appreciate so much everybody being here, and appreciate Brad being in here to help us. And if you guys have other trainings you want us done to do with your branches, which I know that some of us, we still need to do some training with your customers at your branches or with your install company, we are happy to do that. We can do it right now, the whole COVID thing, we can do this online. And when things settle down, we'll also come out and see you. So thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it. Anything else, shoot us an email or call us, and it's great chatting with you guys. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you guys very much.
You bet. Thanks, Joe.